This episode of Mighty Car Mods is all about dash cams. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods, proudly supported by Just Car Insurance.
That's right. Now, Martin, before we go any further, you asked for it, so we've got it. Yes, if you've got a big boat and you're sailing the high seas, you can now get yourself a Mad Mighty Car Mods garage flag for your workshop or your bedroom or your underpant region. These are on the Mighty Car Mods shop, mightycarmods.com. Martin, webcams.
Yes.
The webcam girls. I mean the dash cam boys.
No, this is a bit different. This is dash cams.
Okay, good.
The difference being one goes in your car and one goes, I don't know where that one goes. But these come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Today we're going to install one into Supergrams.
They're getting more and more popular. I mean, there's a lot of different YouTube channels now that are completely fueled by the produce of these dash cams. In some countries, they really need them for insurance and different stuff like that. Australia, we've got a lot of laws that protect people already, but they are being cited and used more and more in different cases in court, particularly where people are making fraudulent claims.
Exactly.
So there's no real downsides other than the whole big brother nature of recording things all the time, is there?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're getting a lot cheaper. Also, they're small. They got some pretty cool features, and we're going to put one in Supergrams so that we can dash cam away.
In fact, Martin, we're putting two in Supergrams, aren't we?
Actually putting two in Supergrams.
One in the front, one in the rear, and so that we can get both sides at once. But we're going to start off. Most people are probably just going to stick it in the front because that's how the world works.
Pretty much.
So, well, let's get going. Let's do this. So there are literally hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of dash cams available that vary in features and vary in price. Now, there's a couple of considerations. Number one, you want to actually make sure the quality of your dash cam is good enough to be able to capture number plates, details, faces, things like that. There's no use getting a dash cam for 20 or 30 bucks, which is actually possible, and then it doesn't actually have any details stored in there that is going to be any use to you at all. The other consideration to remember and what makes dash cams different to normal cameras, because some people have just been saying, I'm just going to put in like a home CCTV camera or something like that, is that these are subjected to pretty severe conditions, particularly when they're inside cars in Australia and in the heat. And in other countries, obviously, hello Alaska and Greenland and Iceland and our friends in Finland, it's really, really, really freaking cold over there. So you want to actually make sure that you've got something quality that's going to work in those extreme conditions. There's also a number of different options when it comes to powering these. Now, the most simplest version of these that you can get is something that literally just plugs in and the other end goes into the cigarette lighter of your car. We don't want to do that today. We want to hardwire it in and make sure it's awesome. There's also a couple of options about how these stay powered when the car's turned off. Now, some of them have batteries. Some of them can maintain some residual power. Others are actually monitoring the car's battery and they turn off when the car's voltage gets to a certain level. So there's a whole lot of different functions, a whole lot of different options, but ultimately what you want to do is get a quality camera that the lens is going to be good enough so that when you're looking at faces and you're looking at number plates, it's actually going to give you enough detail that'll actually hold up in court if, unfortunately, you do need to use it. So that is what we're going to be doing today. That's a quick overview of dash cams. Obviously, they're getting more and more popular as people try and support their different cases in court and with insurance. That's the cameras. Marty is going to show you what tools you're going to need.
So these are the tools you're going to need. You're going to need to remove some trim. So we've got trim removal tools, screwdrivers, pliers. We're going to be running some wiring. So we've got some cable ties to help keep it neat. We are going to need to tap power. So we've got a soldering iron, heat shrink, tape, stuff like that. And then you've got the actual wiring itself that comes with the kit, which in this case is really simple.
You know the awesome thing about this, Marty, is that like all these tools are the same things that you would be using if you were installing like an alarm or like a stereo or boost gauge or anything, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We just got to tap power and ground. In this case, we're going to use a constant power because we want the camera to have power all the time, and it's going to turn itself off. If it figures that your battery voltage is getting too low, it'll turn itself off, which is pretty cool. So they're very smart. Getting smarter, dude. Smarter than your average stereo.
That's mad. Let's do it.
Dash cams with hard wiring kits will come with long wiring that allows you to run the power and ground wires from the top of your windscreen all the way around and down into your dash. Which side you run the wires down depends on where you're able to pick up a constant power. Good places include the back of the stereo, central locking constant power, and the fuse box, but every car is different.
So when it comes to positioning your camera, you need to find a way to get it as close to the center as you can so you get an even picture. You also sort of want it out of your field of vision. You see a lot of people with GPSs and cameras and all this garbage hanging around in the screen, which realistically obscures your view of the road. So you want to try and get it up as high as you can. I like to put this kind of stuff behind the mirror so you can't even see it, you forget it's there. And then the way we're going to stick it up, they come with double-sided tape, really strong stuff that sticks on here. You attach it up onto your windscreen and that should hold it forever.
It's important that you clean your windscreen both where you're going to apply the adhesive and where the camera itself will be looking through. Attach the camera to its mounting bracket and then connect up that end of the wiring. Next, you can tuck in the wiring across the front of the hood lining. Make sure your hands are clean so you don't mark the material. Some cars have airbags in the A-pillar trims. Be sure to keep any of the wires that you're tucking in behind the door rubbers so they don't get in the way. With that done, you can push the rubbers back into place.
GPS, Martin,
GPS.
in the car or in the bin?
A bit controversial in dash cam world. A lot of them come with a built-in. This one's got a separate module that you can put on the windscreen or on the dash or whatever like that. And it will hard code your GPS signal into the footage.
Yeah.
You might see it sometimes. It's got like the location of where you are and your speed and all that kind of stuff.
Which a lot of people have a real problem with, don't they? Because there's been some, I wouldn't say evidence, but there's been some people kind of talking about interesting cases where somebody's changed lanes and they've hit them and the police have taken their dashcam footage and preceding that, at some point they've been speeding over the limit, only maybe 1 or 2 k's over the limit or whatever, but it's been enough to show that you've been breaking the law. I don't think it's a good reason to not install it in case you're going to be breaking the law. That's not the reason, but it does open some interesting concerns, particularly people who feel like they're being tracked and followed everywhere they go.
Yeah.
You know?
That is a consideration. And it just depends. And also, I mean, how necessary is it? I mean, for me, it's, there's peace of mind knowing that it's there if someone hits the car or something, or even just taking the controversy out of any accident, even if it happens to someone else. It's sort of, that's how it happened and there's no argument. But that doesn't necessarily really help me for any reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can see why some people would not want this so much because, I mean, people who are knowingly doing stupid stuff, right? It's like you're driving home and you have an accident and then someone has a look at this and you can see your GPS, you're in some national park doing burnouts for 10 minutes, it doesn't actually look... I mean, I'm not saying, again, that's the reason why you shouldn't do it, but...
Do you know another big consideration with GPS as well is that how accurate that is? I mean, GPS's accuracy is very dependent on atmospheric conditions. It doesn't work in the city. It can lag. So, for example, you could have dashcam footage and your dashcam might say that you're doing 80, but you've just come out of a 60 zone, but it's lagged because there's buildings everywhere, or there's trees or cloud cover. It's and if you're going to use it as evidence, I mean, that's a consideration too.
And I think that's one of those considerations that, I mean, it's a bigger conversation, but as technology changes and we allow laws to be created and enforced based on the technology, then in a way the onus is on the creators of this to make sure that they're then law enforcement, but they're not law enforcement. They're just trying to sell dash cams, so it raises some interesting questions. But
I also just don't want another thing stuck to my window. Okay. That's a very neat, small thing that's behind forget it's there. It's behind my revision mirror. Yeah. I don't want to stick more stuff. I don't really particularly need to run more wiring for it. It's optional. That's why it comes separate. Some have them built in, but you can turn it off.
Okay, cool. So for now though, GPS in the bin.
GPS in the box. Maybe one day I'll change my mind. And until then, just got to basically power this thing up. All it wants is an earth and a constant power, and we're ready to set it up.
Man, that's easy.
So easy.
We said our garden edging body kit was easy. This is up there, isn't it?
You'll need a multimeter, test light, or car wiring diagram to find constant power. The cameras generally don't pull a lot of current, so the cigarette lighter or stereo wiring can be a good place to tap in. If you don't have a wiring diagram to confirm your wires, double check your circuit stays active when the keys are turned, and also check things like headlights to make sure you haven't accidentally tapped a circuit that turns off when the headlights or other accessories are used.
So one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're putting audio-visual and electrical stuff in their car is just not getting a proper earth. Now, so many of the rubbish cars we've bought, we've just seen tech screws just going straight in, and while that does work, eventually, when your car's doing mad skids at the track because you've got a dash cam running, eventually that stuff just vibrates out, so you're way better off just making your own by finding a big hunk of metal. Hello, Martin.
All right, mate.
A big hunk of metal like Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden played in Sydney last week. Had a big Eddie all blown up, shooting lasers at everyone and stuff.
Were there dragons?
Just lasers.
Okay,
and
cool.
monsters. Is find a big bit of metal here, Martin. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it'll work.
That through there, nut on the other side, solder onto there. Bing, bam, bingo, mum's a donkey.
Resist the temptation to tech screw. Your mum's a what?
Tidy up your wiring so your passenger doesn't trip over it, then strip back the wiring on the camera ready to use your mad new grounding point. Make sure you screw it down tight and if possible use a compression washer to help prevent it vibrating loose under epic track day cornering. Next we're splicing into the central locking constant power wire which is in the passenger footwell. We're soldering it and then taping it up tight. Check the camera powers up and install the memory card. Bigger cards will record longer, but not all of them are compatible with all cameras, so do your research first.
So now that your camera's installed, it's time to figure out how to actually use it. Now every camera, this one talks, every camera is a little bit different, but a lot of them have common features. If they've got G sensors or shock sensors, it means they can actually tell when your car's been hit or when you hit the brakes hard, which might indicate that something's happened that you want to actually record. They also have sensors that will sense if the car tips a certain direction, falls, crashes, stops, all those kind of things as well. As soon as you plug it in, they probably just start recording and they'll keep cycling over and over, and that little SD card we put in, it'll just keep replacing the footage. So depending on the size of the SD card, you might get 2 hours, you might get 2 days, you might get a week. And it depends on the quality of the camera as well, and you can also change settings. Now, you can get ones that have screens on them, which can make it easier to set up, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm not sure that you need to see what it's recording all the time. This one doesn't, but it does have Wi-Fi. So basically, once you start the Wi-Fi on it, you can connect it with your phone or your laptop and you can go in and change a bunch of settings, which includes how sensitive it is to those shocks, what quality you want to record. You can also record when you're parked, and you can record different percentages of events. So it will record all the time, or it will record a specific event, or it will record motion. So when it's parked, you can have it set so it only records when it sees motion. And also it stores the files in a different way. So if it's just rolling all day, it's just going to record a certain amount. Once it detects an event, so a shock or you brake hard or something, it's actually going to store that in a different part of the car, which is great because that's more likely the stuff that you're going to need. So the next step now for us is to go through, change a couple of settings using the phone, and that's it, done.
This is where things get nerdy. Most cameras you can now just set and forget, and you may never need to download footage off it. But if you do, you want to make sure it's working right for your car. Our camera uses Wi-Fi and an app to connect to phones or computers. On our camera, you can set up the motion detection and also adjust the sensitivity of the shock sensor within the app. The most important step is the alignment of the camera. Rotate it so you can see some of the bonnet of your car in the lower part of the picture.
So there it is, that is how you install a dash cam.
They are relatively cheap, they are easy to install, it's a one-person job and you can do it in around 20 minutes. So next weekend you got nothing to do, stop fiddling with your balls and fiddle with your dash cam.
Now it looks a bit dodgy having lots of like cigarette lighter things hanging out on double adapters, back on double adapters in your dash. It's not classy, it's not cool. This is a really easy way to learn how to hardwire stuff into your vehicle.
That's right, of course, follow us on the Faceballs, that's faceballs.com/Mighty Commods. Do you know what they're called?
No.
They're delicious.
They're green. Biscuits that are green?
And follow us on the Faceballs, there's like daily updates. And I'm gonna go and eat some of these delicious...
They are incredible.
I don't know what they're called, man.
They've got nothing on them.
They're
You're dropping them all over the floor.
They're called...
Saving them for later.
They're pistachio constuccini.
Oh,
And they're delicious.
You Italian legends.
See you next time, dude.
Oh, amazing.